Welcome to the Rainmaker Podcast, a show for people who are obsessed with all things marketing. I'm your host, Veronica Romney, certified master marketer, international keynote speaker, workshop facilitator, and the author of a new book called Identity Marketing. Each week, I interview rainmakers from brands big and small to pull back the curtain on what's actually working in marketing today. We dig into real life wins and losses, and there's very real consequences, and get into spicy discussions of marketing controversies and opposing philosophies. This is the real marketing thought leadership you've been looking for in your ears on demand. This is the Rainmaker Podcast. Welcome back to the Rainmaker Podcast. I'm so excited to bring to you my next guest, a CMO over one of the most unsexy industries possible, insurance. And yet, ironically, as stiff as the insurance industry business is, she has a yoga background and ran her own studio and built her own yoga enterprise, so to speak. So to go from something so beautifully known for its fluidity and movement to then now be in such a prominent leadership position for something historically so stiff as insurance, it's a really interesting conversation how to make the unsexy sexy, how to have data lead the conversation, and how to embed psychology in every single micro moment that is possible so that you really actually, beyond really genius branding, you can actually have data drive the ingenuity and data drive the disruption, which I thought was really fun. So please welcome my guest, Kate. Kate, welcome to the podcast.
I'm so excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. I'm really excited to have you just because you're kind of unique in my opinion. First of all, you're a former entrepreneur, probably will always identify as an entrepreneur of your own yoga studio, but you're also, no big deal, chief marketing officer for an insurance company in Canada. So I love talking to people who have a non-linear career plan, a non-linear career journey. I think the deception that all careers are linear, unless you're a doctor, it's very rare that we go step to step. It's usually very squiggly, right? Squiggly careers, which I love. So I love talking to people like that because I feel like my career has also been squiggly. And I'm just really excited to leverage your genius when it comes to marketing for typically unsexy brands. I think it's also going to be really fun to talk about psychology and behavioral science. We both geeked out before we pushed live that we love Nancy Harhut. So shout out to Nancy, who we're obsessed with, and her book, Using Behavioral Science in Marketing. So I think we're just going to have a lot of fun. So thank you for coming.
Yeah, I'm so excited for this conversation. I think we have so much synergy. So yeah.
Good. Okay, so let's talk. I almost want you to, not that you keep a diary, or maybe you do, but I almost want to have you take me back to those first days, those first 30, 60 days. You're now chief marketing officer of an insurance company. And you come from, I would say, a sexier, endeavor like yoga and Pilates and body and the physicality of movement. And now we're selling insurance. So
Totally.
why did you do that? And what were some of your early must do, must observe, must things when you got into the seat?
Well, I think unconventional is the perfect way to really describe it because I didn't have any real expectations going into this role necessarily. I built my yoga business from a hobby that turned into a business. Yeah. So it wasn't even really on purpose. It was just something that I loved. And I found a gap within the market. COVID hit and I loved my practice. And so I just took it online. I saw an opportunity where people weren't getting the wellness that they needed in that time. And I started just filming classes for local businesses and our community within Northern Alberta from my kitchen table. So I would just push the kitchen table up against the window, put the laptop on, hit live. And from one thing to another, within 3 years, it was this beautiful community that was created online within Alberta. So from that, I, in that time, became a single mom as well. So I was, doing the whole entrepreneurial thing while also trying to be a mom and show up in the ways that I needed to in my personal life. So that made me venture out into getting more of a conventional job. And so that's what led me to insurance. Was I just needed something with a little bit more stability. I did not think that insurance would be my end game. I was not excited about insurance because it was sexy, and I'm way too creative to be in this space.
Yeah. It feels, when I think of insurance, it feels stiff. And then I think about yoga, I'm like, not stiff.
Totally. I know,
So
I was like
just,
a flamingo in a flock of pigeons.
yeah, energetically, it just feels so different, even on the
Oh
surface
my
of what
gosh.
you're talking about. Yeah.
Well, and with branding for the yoga company, it's very much emotional branding, being
Yes.
in tune, being fluid. And so my branding,
Mm,
my verbiage, my everything was so different. So coming into this role, it was very much like, okay, this is going to provide me my stability. I am good at content writing. I was just helping with blogs and emails. And then one thing led to another. And very quickly within those first couple months, I actually just kind of took initiative. I saw a bunch of gaps within our systems and our CRM system. And I ended up just building out, I had a tech background from building my yoga website. So I just kind of got my hands dirty in the mud and started building out workflows and texting integrations and figuring out how we could create efficiencies so that we could scale our team. And so it became very technical very fast. So it wasn't necessarily like I was writing the perfect email. It was more so I was creating these workflows that were allowing us to actually reach the people we needed in the right time, talk to them in
hmm
the right way, but allow our sales agents to move forward. So, yeah, the first couple months were like a whirlwind of just really diving into the tech, being like, we have so many missed opportunities, especially in insurance. Nobody's nurturing really properly or as they could be.
Sure. Yeah.
Doing a lot of competitor analysis. And then it turned into a CMO role, and I feel very grateful.
Here's what's interesting to me is I think sometimes for those who have never achieved a chief level position or a, first seat leadership position, there's this, like, I think, perception that we've earned the right to sit in the ivory tower. Like, well, clearly, like, they've graduated from the trenches of what marketing and branding and sales operations is. And it's like, I find that the best leaders are often the ones that know and will embrace the dirty trenches when they're first on the scene.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, diving into the mechanics of the beast, diving into the energetic highs and lows of the team's dynamic, and who are you missing or not missing, or who should be there that shouldn't be there, that has been coasting this. I mean, there's so, oh gosh, don't even start on team, but like, it's interesting because we're often tasked with creating these kind of repeatable, successful marketing engines,
Yeah.
but then we don't have repeatable, efficient teams that can also scale with the scalable machines that is market. So I just, yeah, I have found that every time I jump into a position, I am like neck deep in mud
Yeah.
trying to make order of just at that ground level before I can even think or fantasize about surfacing to the balcony.
Totally. And I think, I mean, Gary Vee said this
Yeah.
last year at the gathering where he's like, I'm not in the penthouse. I'm
Yeah.
third. I'm in the trenches. And I think that no matter how much you kind of vary between the two,
Yeah.
you should always be in the dirt to some
hmm
extent because that's where the real
Yeah.
insights and innovation happens, right?
Well, and I feel like that's where we also earn trust.
Absolutely.
I have found that when I come in and I just level set really quickly that, like, I'm here to also get dirty. I'm here to also take some shots as a new leader, and sometimes, messenger the
Yeah.
bridge between the past and what I hope will be a better future. But sometimes being part of that bridge is also like bringing things to the surface that people were more comfortable putting under the rug. And so, yeah, like, it's true. I think that's where a lot of most of the best teams that I've been a part of, or I've gotten to structure or restructure, have, because I've earned that right to stand next to them in the hard, not just in big PowerPoint presentations of what it could be, right?
Earning the right to stand there. Yeah, I love
You
that.
said something interesting to me. Messaging. This is coming up for me literally week to week. So I really actually want to like jam out as peers.
Yeah.
Messaging is a big deal. And oftentimes when you bring in a new leader, an outside perspective, you and I are going to notice that like messaging is not 100%, but those that were on the scene for a really long time can't unsee what they already know. Like, they just can't see what we see, right? They're biased and they're so used to saying the same thing, the same pitch, the same positioning statement, whatever. And again, the contrast between probably the style of messaging, maybe even the demographics of who you were messaging to in your yoga life
Yeah.
versus then insurance life. How did you bridge the gap? What's your approach or philosophy to messaging? Like, just walk me through it.
You know what? I had a really unique opportunity just having zero insurance experience
Yeah.
in this industry. I loved coming in not having a predisposition of what it should be like. So I felt like that was a really
Ooh, I love that advantage. Yeah.
yeah, it was and it still is a really big advantage because really what it is I'm lucky enough to be in a role in a company that's very challengery. So I don't
Mm-hmm.
have to follow a protocol of what we have to say, how we have to say it necessarily. Like we're professional, we build trust, that's inherent, but I have a lot of freedom in how we engage people. So I'm very lucky in that sense that I
That's
get to
nice.
yeah, I don't think a lot of people have that opportunity necessarily in the brick and mortar industries. But we bridged the gap by really doing a lot of competitor analysis of just
Okay.
what's happening within the industry that
Mm-hmm.
is not going well. You know, like looking at all the Google reviews, seeing how people are speaking about our industry, our competitors as a whole online, and just highlighting it. Like, not we're taking what they're already saying, then we're flipping the messaging within our own branding and finding our sweet spot of, okay, there's not great service. People are not being heard.
Yeah.
You can't purchase online. You're waiting for hours, and then finding a bit of a fun flip on that where we're overly convenient. We will talk to you too much. So once you start to get into that realm of okay, what's not working that we see that people are already not enjoying,
Mm-hmm.
how do we take that and flip it, and then we start to A/B test it. So that's where the data comes in. It's how are people responding to this, and every single time they respond well over a certain period of time, we just continue to change our messaging based
Mm-hmm.
on that. That's behavioral science to a T. So we
Mm-hmm.
just really align our competitor analysis, our industry analysis, with consistent compounding effects of change within our nurtures. How does that reflect on the site? How do people engage with the retargeting? Like it's such a flow, right? As you know.
Yeah, and it's data driven too, right? Like the data is informing the next best step.
Yeah.
Question though, because this is where, and I know every business model is a little bit different, and every relationship between marketing and sales versus like product or the service rendering side of the business. Like you did competitor research, you disclosed the major complaints of our end users. You're like, this is how we can differentiate ourselves. But a unique selling proposition is only as good as the if you actually do it. So like the fact that you're like, now we talk too much. How did marketing influence the fulfillment side of the house?
Well, so marketing, we're really complementary within our
Okay.
office. You know, like marketing cannot do what it does without having incredible people, our sales
Yeah.
agents, our
Yeah.
actual conversation that the clients have. Our Google reviews are the way that they are because our sales agents actually fulfill what we're saying we're going to do. So sales can't do what they do without my department, and my department cannot do what we do without them. And that's why marketing and sales should be so closely intertwined, because you have to have the same mindset. You know, people were, especially when we're building so much trust within this specific industry, they've got to have the same experience from the start to the finish. And yeah, we really fulfill it by over serving, offering exactly what they're looking for in the right time, in the right place.
So you don't feel like you were trying to change a behavior, you were just better gift wrapping the service that was already being rendered?
Well, we were trying to change the experience. So the
Okay.
behavior of the consumer, I think that the industry has kind of ruined the psyche of the consumer in a way.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
people aren't excited to get insurance.
That's, yeah,
Or
that's not fun.
Southwest, right? Like, so we're trying to change the experience, which
Yeah.
in turn change their behavior. And changing the experience is actually not that difficult in this space because the experience inherently is just not
Yeah.
fun.
The bar
And
was already low.
the bar was already pretty low.
The bar was
So
already low.
that's an opportunity for sure.
That's interesting. Okay. Because this is where I find this is kind of like either you're a marketing led organization or you're a product led organization. And when I say product, it doesn't have
Yeah.
to be like physical products, it can be service rendering, it can be just the fulfillment side of the house, right? So, like, And this is where the dynamic I think is always really interesting, because we as marketers want to like really shine and like put words and gloss to how amazing our product site is.
Yep.
But it's a treacherous little line, because like we never want to also falsely portray to the outside world or overinflate, the fulfillment side of the business too. Like I rather like, under promise, over deliver than over promise and under deliver. Like, ooh.
Oh, well, and I think, we were really lucky in that sense because we're a scale up. So it would be so much
Yes.
harder if I was going into a huge corporation,
Yes.
having to really try and go from the
Yeah.
start to the finish again. But I love that you said that, because we say that all the time. We like to think
Yeah.
of ourselves as a marketing company that sells insurance. So we're not
Ah,
outspending brick and mortar insurance companies or banks, but we're winning just by being wildly different. And, that goes back to those cult like
mm,
brands or the challenger brand mindset, right? So,
totally.
yeah, you hit the nail on the head.
No, I love this. I love the yes and. Yeah, I was thinking about this because even in the new organization that I'm a part of, like one of the things that I found absent when I kind of first came on the scene was, what's our point of view as a marketing team? Like, meaning, like, if you, Kate, were to read a case study about how we do marketing, or how, if there was, yeah, a business case study, if there was a class in university, if somebody were to write a paper on how, like, the magic, the secret sauce,
Mm-hmm.
the litmus test of our marketing department, what would they say? Because everybody, I mean, like Liquid Death, like very, I think very clear point of view, very clear, like their style is that, like we're going to take the most boring category possible and just not make it boring, right? And that the owner of Liquid Death has done that time and time again in his previous agency life. And so like when I first got on scene, I'm like, I couldn't tell the outside world on stage, if asked to, what our sauce is, what our
Oh,
strong point of view is, what we will not negotiate. This is how we view marketing here. Was
yes.
that something that you also got to kind of maybe define?
Yes, absolutely. Especially from coming in so early on. Uh,
Yes.
we're such a nimble and close knit team. So I worked
So
really,
cool.
yeah, with our lead of culture, our sales team, and then my CEO, who is very challenger brand mindset. He is, and that's why we get to do what we do, right? Like he's
Yeah.
very, very forward thinking in that sense. So as we were creating these systems and figuring out the behavioral science behind how people responded, and then also just leveraging the crappy experience that a lot of people were having,
Mm-hmm.
really directed what
Mm-hmm.
our strategy and our marketing vision was going to be. And I think it's actually still on our fridge in the lunchroom. It's impact is baked into everything that we do. And that doesn't have
Mm.
to be this big, bold, Karma Sutra of the insurance, but it has to be we're
That's funny.
impactful in everything. Everything's done on purpose.
Yeah.
So
It's one of my favorite things that we experienced at the gathering was listening to Jesse Cole from the Savannah Bananas.
such a fun dude.
Oh my gosh, this guy. And then I recently got a chance to go to Charlotte with my boys, with my husband, my brother, and we got to witness like basically a 3 hour TikTok reel, of just pandemonium, dopamine, and fun. But like when I think the name of the company is what, Fans First Entertainment. And like that is like their number one ethos. Like we are fans obsessed, fans first.
Love
And so like to hear that on stage in a presentation, I'm like, cool, I love the concept. And then I literally had the opportunity to experience it firsthand. I'm like, oh yeah. Like inning what, 7, 8, the whole stadium, this colossal football stadium, turns down the lights and they sing Coldplay Yellow as a love song from the Savannah Bananas organization to the fans.
that. Oh
And
my
I'm like, why am I getting emotional on baseball? Like, what is happening?
God.
I'm like,
Something
hold
that
it together. But that's what I mean. It's like, what's Savannah Banana, their ethos, their point of view, their secret sauce is fans first, right? Or the challenger mentality, or this or that. And so I just think it's really fun to be first seat leader and have a hand in defining that, and
yeah.
then advocating it both internally and externally, because that's the job too, is advocacy for the team, advocacy for what you're doing, for to all parties in this kind of 360 like point of view. I love it. That's probably one of my favorite parts. You brought up behavioral science. Can we get nerdy now?
Let's get nerdy.
How do you, I understand it conceptually, but how do you implement it in the weeds of what you do? Who's responsible for it? Who's holding it? How do you measure it? How often are you looking at it? Like, I just want to walk me through that, because I want to steal from your notebook on this.
Well, again, lucky that I don't have this huge widespread team that I have to go through all of the, gets passed to this desk and then this desk and then this
Yeah.
desk. And then it takes so much time. And by that time, you've kind of missed your opportunity. I
Yeah.
think that the more nimble and easier it is to pivot, it's easier to create those compounding effects in real time. So for us, most things are just on my desk. We have a few contractors that help us out with more technical, more technical things and projects that we've got going on. But to simplify it, it's really just, okay, when we started, we created all of these different workflows to create these efficiencies with all these different emails and texts. And just within the last 3 years, it's every, 30, 60 days we go in. How is it performing? How are people responding to it? What's the engagement like? Like, we have a lot of different measurement pieces that we use depending on what we're going for. But when that, basically once we've compiled that data, to change the messaging of maybe how that's performing within those nurtures, because we know within our industry, if people aren't purchasing within 1 to 2 days, really, it's very hard to get them over that next week.
Interesting. Short window. Oof.
Oh my gosh, it's even harder to get them after that first year, right? Once they come up on renewal. So there's so many pieces. It goes from that to, okay, they've engaged. We have improved our opening, our click-through rates. They land on the site. Then from the site, there's so much behavioral science. Where is your button placed? What color is the button? How big is the button? What does the button say? Which audience is this serving? And how is it being interacted with? Do we have different homepages for our different audiences? Within our industry too, there's some pretty well-known colors, that the color theory of what's trustworthy, what's professional. And we have gone bolder colors. I just did a keynote in Toronto, and someone came up after, and I loved this. So this stuck with me. They were just so surprised that we had like yellows and purples and pinks on our website. And they're like, that's not supposed to perform. That is, the data tells us that that's not going to work. And I'm like, well, actually the data tells us that it does work. You just have to serve it in the right place, in the right form, to the right person.
Zing.
So then from there, it's like, okay, you move your button over 2%. That increases your conversion by 5%.
Yeah.
How does that look across millions of users? Like, it's so granular. Then you get past the web page, then they get to your quoting portal, which questions are placed in which time, there's so much.
There's so much to look at. Yeah.
But really, we go over this regularly. That is my main job, is to ensure that our heat maps are giving us the information that we need to actually dissect, to do little minimal changes here and there to continue to increase that user experience.
Yeah. You guys are obsessed with micro moments. There's the macro moment of like, we got him, conversion. And then there's this obsession with the micro moments that would then lead to a macro moment. Absolutely. And so, gosh, there's so many little touch points and So, and selfishly, like, what's your tech stack? Are you using like a Lucky Orange, a Hotjar? Are you using Amplitude? Like, how do you actually see all these things?
Okay, so my dream is to have a data lake. Like, I think that my job would be 100 times easier if I
can only imagine.
Yeah. So we're out of the foundational stages. We're now into, we're a scale up, but we're more of a normal functioning company now, that we can start to implement more of that tech stack. But it's really been me going into each individual system and dissecting what information is coming out of that, and then creating my own hypothesis. So,
BI, business intelligence report.
But that's been the best hands-on learning, to be honest.
Yeah, fair.
It's been getting to this point and just being able to understand every single touch point the way that we do, because we've had to be in the dirt so much.
Yes.
We can now start to create our own efficiencies within being able to read that data without having to spend so much time doing it. So,
man, if I could design my perfect keynote for you, it's like proximity to the micro moments.
Oof. What a headline. I love
Because
that.
that's what it is. That's the magic of what you just described to me. Like you are as close to those micro converting moments as possible in the dirt of it. Oh, I love that. And you're
Mm.
so pretty. I
Thanks for
love that. I love that. I love that. Oh my gosh, my brain's like relishing in this little truffle. I love that. Yeah,
that.
because it's true. Like gosh, there is so many moments that all compound together. And then we in the marketing world then will like wrestle and argue with people about attribution and this and that. Who gets the credit? It was Reddit. It wasn't Reddit. I don't even, it's so stupid. Because
Yeah.
then you literally lose the point.
Yeah.
And I love that you're like, I'm in it. I'm in each of those individual data collecting modalities and then compiling it to make sense. And then your discipline where we don't just set it and forget it 30, 60, 90 days.
Yeah.
Do you one of the things that I was discussing with my team, and I'm curious if you already have something like this, is like, you know how like in sports teams when these new coaches come on and they're like, okay, here's the playbook. This is like, oh, coach's playbook. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like almost like, do you have a CRO playbook or like these like Bibles of all the tests that have ever been run and then the proposed tests that you wish to run? Like, how do you like keep this all in your outside of just your beautiful brain?
Well, we do now. So I
Okay.
actually love that you brought up playbook too, because that's what brought me to the gathering last year is
Yeah.
we had a few large failed initiatives because probably the naivety of me as well coming into this industry thinking it would perform in a very similar way as other industries have.
Sure. Yeah.
So once we got through a few of those, failures, we had some funerals for a few things. It really made me realize that there was absolutely no playbook for
Ah,
our industry, and we had to really create our own, especially being a challenger brand within an unsexy industry. So now our playbook is very much we know like when it comes to collaborations, we know what works for us and what doesn't, and we reverse engineer the data to see if it's even worthwhile to have a conversation or what kind of investment we need to give, so that we can allow them to tell us how that relationship will work. So the playbook is a lot more of what have we learned from the
yeah.
failed experiences.
Yeah.
We know exactly who we need to target.
Yeah.
Intent is huge for us. We don't need your volume. We don't need the 7 million people that might be coming across your site every year. We need those people who are actually interested in what we're offering you.
Mm.
Right. So it really depends on what vein you want to go down. And our playbook is really partially in our brains because we are a smaller team. So we know just in
Yeah.
conversation
Yeah.
which decisions to make and what to shift.
Sure.
But when we're talking to people, it's like, yeah, we have an unlimited budget for things that are going to work, as everybody does, I'm sure. But the conversation within the first 10, 15 minutes, we know just based on the data, we have like unlimited amounts of data, really. We know what will work and what won't. But yeah, I mean, I guess on a more, now that we're becoming more of that national brand, we'll have to get that out of our Google Docs and
That would be the most invaluable thing in your possession of your career. Like, yeah, I have
yeah.
the playbook, you know, like gosh, what people wouldn't do to like see a page of that. Cause that's everything. Especially like you said, there wasn't one. We tried to take things that were working outside of our industry, brought it in, did not resonate,
Did not
throw that out, and then
burn it.
create the wheel from scratch, you know, which again, the wrong personality will like have a funeral for themselves. The right personality will be like, oh hell yes. Like, okay, cool. There's literally no boundaries. There's no like I am not just like driving on a lane that has guardrails. There's no road. There's no guardrails. There's nothing, you know, and you get to make that, which I think is really exciting and juicy. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, Kate, I this is my problem with podcasting. I could talk to my guests forever because like we're just peers, we're jamming out. This is fun. At some point we have to wrap it up, but we do this fun thing on the podcast because I've just so people know I don't submit questions to you ahead of time. You're just giving me the most authentic answers, literally sight unseen. And I only think it's fair that you maybe put me in the hot seat. So I do love when the guests get to ask me a question at the end.
Yeah. Well, I think that you have so much valuable information. I saw your keynote at the gathering, and
It's fun.
the don't buy this, be this mentality really resonates in what we're doing in our company too.
Yeah.
So I think that we have a lot of synergies for sure. So now that you've started this new role, I know that you're not
Yeah.
disclosing what exactly you're doing, but it
Yeah.
could be in a similar industry
Mm-hmm.
or sort of company that's
Mm-hmm.
unsexy, as you've mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
So your first, you asked me this question. So your first 2 months of being in here,
Yeah.
what are your top?
As so just people understand it's July 9th, 2025 that we're recording
Yeah,
this. And I have officially completed my first 4 weeks. So I am like just over the 30-day.
yeah,
And yeah, I'm not going to tell anybody where it is because I think, I don't know. I don't want to jinx it. I'm nervous. I don't like, I want to wait until I'm out of like the 90-day or honeymoon stage because everything just feels so good so far. So I'm like, anyways. So, okay. So the first thing that I did was, and credit to this company, probably one of the most documented organizations I've ever been a part of, even as a consultant. Like, oh my gosh, like almost to the point of too much documentation. Like, I am drowning in documentation. Um, Everything's recorded, everything has historical preservation in some capacity. But I was like, before I see the world from your perspective, I can't. There's only this little sliver of time where I can audit you from the outside.
yeah.
So like they had this beautiful onboarding plan for me and I was like, but wait.
Yeah.
So like, my first week I did everything that I could to basically not read any type of internal documentation whatsoever. And I basically almost did the consulting thing, right? Where I like audited the brand from the outside in. And I had this Google Doc. I mean, I still have it. I think it's like, I don't know, 30, 40 pages at this point. And it's raw. Like, no one should see my notes. No one should see my thoughts. But it is the most raw thing where I just like every observation that I had, because in my position, I oversee the B2C marketing side and also the newer B2B sales side of the organization. So I had to do it from all these different angles. They already have like a well developed product team. And so, like, but I didn't care about the product team. That's an internal perspective. What did I think on the outside as just like a walking perspective consumer potentially?
Mm-hmm.
And so I spent a lot of time doing that. And then I also on day two, and I have done this in other organizations, probably not to this degree. This was like probably the most invasive thing I've ever done. So just I don't know if this will be HR appropriate for all, but like I knew I was inheriting a marketing team.
Yeah.
And I thought they were lovely in some of those early interview processes where I got to meet them and have lunch with them, but I don't know them. And I also don't have the patience to get to know them over 6 months. I want to get to know them now, like now, so that I can start restructuring or shedding things that they shouldn't be doing. Like, I want to recognize their greatness sooner rather than later so I can put them in a position to just exercise their greatness.
Yeah.
So I built it before I even started my first day, but at the first day I met with nobody. It was just like, logins. And then day two, I had a meeting with the marketing team and I gave them an 8-page Google Doc with, call it an intake, call it a survey, but like questions.
Yeah.
Questions about them, questions about what they've done, what they want to do, their relationship with AI, things that they want to bring to the group, things that they want me to bring to the group. Like there's some questions like, hey, you don't have to tell me why this is a hard day, but are there any hard days on the calendar that I should be aware of as your manager? Like,
I love
so it
that.
was personal questions, it was professional oriented questions, it was a combination of all the things. And I like have this huge like Surgeon General warning, like, this is not your atypical survey. The more that you put into this and spend time with this, the more I can promise you it will be beneficial, like whatever. I was shocked. Majority of the team not only submitted it back, but if I gave them 8 pages to start, they delivered 20, 30, 40 pages in response.
People want to be heard.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And then what I did to really like show them that I wasn't just going to submit it to ChatGPT and then summarize them was I printed them at Office Depot in higher quality paper. And then I sat with it with a highlighter and I like went through it like in fine detail. And then I put comments back in the Google Doc. That was like my first impression. And then I went back through the printed pages so that when I first conducted my one-on-one with that team member, I had literally their printed lives in my hand with all of my highlighting, with all of my questions. And like, we just talk about jumping into the deep end into a relationship as opposed to the shallow.
I love that.
And so now in 30 days, I've completely restructured the team, and I can do that with confidence because I got to do that exercise in the first week.
Yeah.
So that has already been to me like a pretty significant win. Still so much work to do, but that's one of the first things that I did was I audited unbiasedly the company as a whole, and then I asked very intrusive questions to my team.
But honestly, and even though that's not necessarily like a first marketing play, like what you're expressing is how great your team is going to be moving forward and why they're all very specifically put where they are to be the best. Like, I think that is probably one of the most invaluable things that you can do, because you need to have the right people in the right spaces to do those right things for you.
And I want to give a shout out to Tamsin Webster. She's been a guest on the podcast before. She's also a multiple book published author. Her philosophy is, she's like, and she says it about your consumer. Like, your consumer is smart, capable, and good. And they wish to be treated as if they were smart, capable, and good. And oftentimes our marketing can treat people not like they're smart, capable, and good. And I think that also translates internally. Like, your team members are smart, capable, and good, and they should be treated, especially by a brand new leader on the scene, especially if they've had crappy managers before, as smart, capable, and good. And that was something that really stuck with me. I'm like, I want them to feel like I think the best of them already.
Oh, that's a huge culture piece. And really, like, culture, marketing, it's all psychology. And
100%.
A hierarchy of needs. People want to feel competent. They
100%.
Like, we could go on a whole other tangent on that, but yes.
No, but you're 100% right. Like, just, again, whether you're trying to sell somebody, lead somebody, serve somebody, people just want to be seen.
Yep.
Oh, what a great little cherry Sunday on our conversation. Kate, where can we hang out with you? Like, is it LinkedIn? Where do you want people to like tell you in the DMs that they loved this episode?
Yeah, find me on LinkedIn or on Instagram. I'm kind of on both in the same amount, or shoot me an email. Honestly, my email's on LinkedIn if you want to connect further. Any of those spaces, I'm pretty available. And
That's very generous. Thank you so much, Kate, for being on today's Rainmaker podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening today. If you've loved what you heard, make sure to rate the show, subscribe, and leave a review. It helps us get the Rainmaker podcast in front of more passionate marketers just like you. And if you're ready to transform your marketing from buy this to be this, pick up my new identity marketing book available on my website at veronicaromney.com. Until next time, my friends, keep making it rain.